Hello, everyone. Um, Taking some time out to make this video today. I'm very pleased. I'm not necessarily going to get kicked out of my apartment, but I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do to get the apartment presentable, and I have a lot of stuff. Since I've been prepping for the possibility of a nuclear war, I've accumulated a lot of stuff, a lot of survival gear, and a lot of stuff. And it's just too much stuff. I have too much stuff, and it's not all stuff that I can take with me in an emergency. So I have to get rid of a lot of stuff that I accumulated while I was in my prepper phase. I have to get rid of a lot of stuff that are demanding it of me. My apartment complex is demanding of me that I get rid of my stuff. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of stuff. That's what's going on with me right now, getting rid of stuff. But in regards to Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, they supposedly found, they're not sure, they found Brian Laundrie's remains. The face was eaten off. All they found was a skull. And they found other human remains. They have to DNA test them to see if it's really Brian Laundrie. But he had disappeared without a trace, and they found him. He was in his favorite Florida park, hiding out after he murdered Gabby Petito. He was hiding out, and he got eaten by alligators. They found his notebook on the path, and they found his backpack with his notebook. But he had gotten eaten by alligators and snakes and wild pigs, and probably a few other scavengers too had a nibble. All the animals nibbled once he was dead. I think he killed himself. I don't think the animals necessarily attacked him viciously and dragged him into the water. I don't think that happened. I think that the animals were polite and waited for him to die, and then they had a feast. Once he was dead, they had a feast. Because they are scavengers. They're not just predators, they're also scavengers, and they are opportunistic creatures that take advantage. They take advantage of a dead body to eat it. So Brian Laundrie's remains eaten by alligators. Well, at least we think it was Brian Laundrie, unless he killed someone else that looked just like him so that he could escape punishment. But they've got his dental records, and they're going to compare it to the teeth in the skull to see if it's really him. And then if it's really him, they'll say case closed. But we still wonder what happened to Gabby Petito. What happened to her? How did this happen? We may never know. We may never know. They may never release the contents of his notebook. Even though he's dead, they may never release the truth about what happened to Gabby Petito, why he killed her. All we know is that there was domestic abuse going on, and that she was very upset, that she was in hysterics, and she should have gotten away from him then. She should have seen the warning signs, but she was in love with him. And love can blind even the wisest among us. So what choice did Gabby Petito had? She was just an innocent young girl, and really innocent. Really innocent. You know how she was all sunshine and rainbows. She was innocent. And we may admire her innocence, or we may decry her innocence as a fault. But whatever we do, we have to admit that she was innocent, and that she didn't know what was coming next. She didn't know what to expect from this Brian Laundrie. None of us did. He was quiet and polite, according to his in-laws. He was quiet and polite, and They thought he would take care of her the rest of his life. They didn't know that he had the potential to murder. And why would he murder her? That's what I don't understand. Why would he murder her? You know, Gabby Petito is one of Goddess's favorites. She is. Gabby Petito is Goddess's favorite person, and she was really mad at Brian Laundrie. So no wonder he got eaten by alligators. She was really mad. And the whole world was mad. Everyone was mad at Brian Laundrie and wanted him to get caught. And now he's dead. He escaped punishment, but not really. He just went on to his next life where he'll be punished. See how that works? I got a little indentation there. Yeah, see how that works when you mess with Goddess's favorite person. When you mess with Goddess's favorite person, Goddess is avenged. And the public wanted Gabby Petito, to be avenged too. So, that was his fate. Eaten by alligators, eaten by wild pigs, and even eaten by snakes. Some snakes took a nibble at him. They found his remains all over the jungle, and they found the animals that had eaten him sitting nearby. Once they have a taste of man flesh, they want more. They're going to try to eat other people that come down the path now, too. You know he killed himself because he wanted to be gone. He wanted to be dead after he killed Gabby, and because he didn't want to face the punishment, but he didn't know that there was a greater punishment waiting for him once he died. So that's that. Also in the news, Halyna Hutchins. I don't know if you've heard of Halyna Hutchins. She was born in the Ukraine, came to America, became a cinematographer of some repute. She's a director of photography and a cinematographer. And as the director of photography for the movie Rust, she was in charge of all the scenes and directing all the cameramen and the gaffer and everybody on the set. She was responsible for as director of photography. Alec Baldwin, did he appreciate her as his director of photography? Well, I don't know if he appreciated her or not. That's really a tough call. It's hard to say because he shot her dead. That's right. Alec Baldwin is now officially a murderer. Did you know this? Alec Baldwin, after he did his dumb Trump impressions, went, no, 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 like that, and did stupid Trump impressions, stuff that Trump never even did. He didn't have his mouth hanging open like that. He didn't have his mouth hanging open like, he didn't do that. But Alec Baldwin made it look like that Trump did that with his mouth. And people loved his Trump impression. They thought it was great. They thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin has links to SNL, okay? And he's ultra liberal. So he would like to see guns banned, okay? So he would like to see guns banned, so he did a Western with guns so that he could have a sacrificial lamb, so he could have an excuse to campaign against guns. Look who's talking. Look who's campaigning against guns. The one that mishandled the gun and shot somebody dead because of his own negligence, and now he wants to take everyone else's guns away. See how that works? He's got a motive. He has a motive for shooting Halyna Hutchins. She was the sacrificial lamb so that he aimed right at her. That was the one he wanted dead. And she complained about the lack of safety on the set right before he did this. So, no reason to believe that Alec Baldwin didn't plot her murder. He can say he didn't. He can put on a good show, but remember, he's an actor. Actors are really smooth. Actors are really good at playing a part, and right now he's playing the part of the mournful sinner that accidentally shot her and is distraught and upset. But is he really upset? What he's upset about is that everybody has guns. He wants to take guns away, and so the best way he can think to take guns away is to shoot somebody with a gun and then say, oh, this accident would have never happened if they didn't allow guns. See how that works? It was his own plot. It wasn't just his own negligence. It was a plot. It was a plot. And of course, his daughter Ireland is attacking everyone in sight and saying, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy. My daddy's innocent. It's my daddy. I love my daddy. I believe in my daddy. I think my daddy is a perfect human being that would never do any wrong. Love my daddy. How dare you say those things about my daddy? You're an awful human being and I hope you're dead, she says. So that's Ireland. Ireland Baldwin. I'm assuming Baldwin is her last name, but maybe she's married now. Alec Baldwin shot somebody dead. And he injured the director too. The director got shot also. I think that Alec Baldwin really wanted to check out the links in the description. There's some very interesting links. Some very interesting information. Stuff about like the gaffer complaining about the lack of safety on the set. All of the people, all of the workers walked off the set right before the day this happened. They all walked off the set the day this happened. That was so nobody else was in danger, that Alec Baldwin wasn't planning on shooting. And they didn't want, they knew what was about to happen. He sent them away. He sent them away so that they wouldn't get shot. He wanted to make sure it was just Halyna that got shot because of her complaining. He didn't like complaints. He doesn't like complaints. That's how he handles complaints, is to shoot someone dead who complains. And there's some numerology involved. Numerology. I don't know a lot about numerology, but sounds pretty convincing to me. Numerology involved. Some people are saying that it has to do with Jesuits. I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with Jesuits or not. I have no clue. But that's what some people are claiming, that it adds up to the number 78 or something. Her name and Jesuit and a couple other things add up to 78. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what system of numerology they're using. There's different systems of numerology. They're all different. So the numbers, the letters don't have always the same number value. There's different systems of numerology. I don't know which one they're using, but they think that there's a link there between, like, it was the 201st day after Alec Baldwin's birthday. They actually counted the days after Alec Baldwin's birthday to figure out when he shot her. It was 201 days, and 201 has some other numerological significance that they claim adds up to 201, and like murder or something like that adds up to 201. I'm not sure. Check out the links in the description. It's kind of interesting. Everybody thinks that at least on the right, everybody on the right thinks that Alec Baldwin done it, and that he did it on purpose. I mean, what better excuse do you have to commit murder than to be a famous person and do it in broad daylight where no one can object? And why can no one object? Because it was an accident. Oh, it was an accident. But everybody knows that the person who handles the gun, who finally shoots the weapon, is in charge of making sure that it's empty and that there's no bullets in it. The person who fires the gun is responsible. And it almost as if he was aiming right at Halyna Hutchins, like she was his main target. He shouldn't have aimed the gun directly at her. If he was a good guy, he would have aimed it somewhere off into the sky, or off to one side slightly. He shouldn't have aimed right at her. And he did. He aimed right at her and he shot her dead, so that means he was aiming at a vital part. He was aiming at some vitals. And maybe her heart, maybe her head. He was aiming right at her. And shot her dead. Now watch him cry baby and say we need to take everybody's guns away because he blew it. Because he was careless. He'll use that as an excuse, or maybe his followers, his fan base will use that as an excuse, saying we should take people's guns away because Alec Baldwin murdered someone with a gun, so we need to take guns away. You know, that's what the liberals want. They want to eliminate guns so that their plot, their master plan can take effect. It's opposing communism. They know people won't go gently into communism. They know people will object to communism. They won't go lightly. They want it to be a bloodless coup. And it will be a bloodless coup if everybody's guns are taken away. No one can withstand and no one can object if they take guns away. Yeah. Sounds corny, sounds far-fetched, but it's true that if people don't have guns, then their government can do. The government's overpowered as it is. I mean, they've got nuclear weapons. They could just nuke all their enemies. They've got drones that they can send into somebody's house or shoot through a window. Drones with guns and to murder their enemies, political and otherwise. They're too powerful. They're just too powerful at this point. They've got too many weapons and guns themselves, the government, and they're too powerful to fight back. Too powerful to fight back. Can't fight the government. They're too powerful. And so if they decide that communism is the thing, that's the best thing, how can we object? But half the country objects. Half the country objects, and maybe I'm thinking that maybe the conservative states will secede from the Union. They could secede from the Union and have a new rebel state, a new confederacy. Now, this confederacy wouldn't be about slavery. It wouldn't be about slavery, but it would be objecting to having communism thrust down people's throats wholesale without any objection or any. Right now we've got socialism. We are turning into a socialist state. The Dems are all pushing as hard as they can for a socialist state. So we're already in socialism territory, but we don't want to be in communism territory, and that's what a lot of the Democrats consider the Holy Grail. Holy Grail is to reach a communist state here on Earth, in America, in the USA, to reach a state of communism and eliminate all businesses. Not just small businesses that have been their target all along, all through this pandemic, that small businesses have been their target, but all businesses. All businesses become the property of the state. Can close any business they want to, control the means of production, and they reap all the profits. The businesses work for the government now, and they reap the profits and pick the pockets of the business owners clean. Pick their pockets clean. They don't get the profits anymore. And then your business, you don't get to be in control of your business anymore. The government decides to replace you. They can replace you just like that any day with a new business owner that's been approved by the communist state, that's loyal to the Communist Party, can take over your business. So these are things that are concerns on the right. But a lot of Democrats want communism. Yeah, I was inundated, not this summer, but the summer before this. I was inundated with communism, 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 communism from my professor of feminist philosophy. So the feminists are in on communism too. A lot of the feminists are communists, and not positive, not good for a feminist to be a communist also. But they all these things get lumped together. See, they all get lumped together in one big lump. That's the problem with the two-party system. You lump a bunch of issues together, and you don't get to decide on individual issues. You don't get to decide on individual issues. You don't get a choice. You either pick Tweedledum or Tweedledee, A or B. And those are the only choices you're given. You don't get to choose. So, because you don't get to choose, everything gets lumped together. Everything gets lumped together in one big, giant lump. And one of the lumps is the communist state, headed by the Democrats now. They didn't used to be communists. They used to be anti-communist Democrats. Now they're communist Democrats. The party has shifted all the way to the left as far as it can go. So far left, it's almost right. And it's communism. It's complete and utter control of everything you say, everything you do. Like Facebook helps them. Facebook helps them by censoring people. Everything you say, everything you do on the internet gets censored, and is only according to the tastes of the Communist Party. You don't get a voice. And they're stomping on a lot of people. Oh boy, people hate Facebook now. They're stomping on a lot of people's toes. Because they think they're too big to fail, but they're a network that deserves to fail. They deserve to be abandoned, and they deserve to fail. I'm going to look for some alternatives for you guys, I promise. I'm going to look for alternatives to Facebook, alternative social networks. There's got to be some of them out there that are halfway decent. I use a different browser. I use DuckDuckGo as my browser, and have ever since I found out the truth about some of the major some of the major search engines are spying on you and selling your information to the highest bidder. So I go with DuckDuckGo because it's anonymous browsing. But just something to consider, something to think about. Find alternative social network to something friendly to independence. You know, not every social network is friendly to independence. Independents can agree with some things that conservatives say, but not all. Not all. We are independent because we choose what we think is right first off, and because we're independents, we choose what we think is right first off, and we don't go with the flow. We don't buy the ticket wholesale. We just try to make the best choice we can, given our choices, which are shrinking by the day. Your choice, your ability to choose what you believe on every issue, shrinking by the day. It's changing every single day. Every single day, more and more of your freedoms are being taken away from you by the establishment. And I don't have to tell you that I blame the elites. I don't have to tell you I blame the elites, because that's their plot. That's their plot against us, is to take away all of our choices. It's the elitist plot. But half of America is opposed to communism and making communism a thing in America. Most people would have, in fact, I think it's more than half. Most people would reject communism. If they knew what communism was, if they knew what communism does, they would reject it. So that's it. Alec Baldwin commits murder in broad daylight and gets away with it by saying that was just an accident. Let's see if we can get him on manslaughter. I think we can get him on manslaughter. I think we can get him to do some time. And committed this crime in I'm not sure. Not sure where. I think it was Utah. And the interesting thing is, those police I told you about the other day that interviewed Brian Laundrie, they were from Utah. So they may have been Mormons, and don't know much about Mormonism, but I know they're conservative. So it may not have been mainstream conservatives that were joking around with Brian Laundrie at all. It may have been Mormons. And I'll see you next time.